Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I want to take you into a very cool blues rock riff. This is Gary Moore. It's called Umbrella Man. Great tune. It's just really cool. It is classic blues rock riffage right out of the A minor and the D minor pentatonic scale. So I often talk about, when playing over a blues, that we don't necessarily change from like A minor pentatonic scale to D minor pentatonic scale when soloing. However, that doesn't always work out for riffage, for lack of a better word, and this is definitely a very kind of heavy rock riff. So let's jump into it. Now, I'm using a little bit different setup, just so you know. I'm getting the tone. This is a little much for the blues driver, so this is a pedal by MI Effects called the Crunch Box, which is kind of a Marshall sounding distortion. It's actually very similar to the pedal that Gary Moore used, which is the original Marshall Governor, and he did use that on Still Got the Blues, for example, into a Marshall JTM 45. So this is very much along that same line, but I'm still running it into my 11 rack on the super reverb setting. So I'm not using a JTM 45 on the back end, but it definitely gives that crunchy, Marshall-y kind of sound. So this riff is actually one of the reasons that I wanted to break this down is because this riff is just kind of, I don't want to say common in that obviously every riff is a little bit different, but some of the ideas here are very common, and you see them pop up in a lot of the more rock or classic rock or, blues rock riffs, for lack of a better word. And so if we think of our A minor pentatonic scale with our first finger starting down here on the A and playing that box 1. However, if you put your third finger there, okay, and I'm gonna back off on the gain a little bit just so I'm not yelling over it, we have box 5. Okay, and in fact, it's kind of really common to even then slide into box 1. Right? We have box 5, but you don't always see that. But that little group of notes, G, A, C, A, G, and then even the open E, which would be box 4. Okay, now from a rhythmic standpoint, right, so I've got G, A, C, A, G, E, A. Okay, but rhythmically, 1 E and a 2, it's a 16th note groove. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, that's kind of important. And I usually hammer on from the G to the A. Okay, so that's the bass riff. Again, 3 E, 4 E, and 1 E, and 2 E, and 3 E, and 4 E, and notice that my right hand kind of just keeps going, even when I'm picking. Right? Now, I'm just going to take that and move it up. And I'm going to get the D. So now we've switched over to a D minor pentatonic scale. Okay, so if I start with my D with my first finger here at the 5th string, 5th fret, that would be box 4. With my third finger here, box 3. And I can, of course, move back and forth between them. But I want you to pay attention to the shapes because it's so much easier, so much easier to remember these riffs if you can see them in their shape. And you're not trying to remember like 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, G, E, A. You know, like if you're trying to, if I just spelled out to you, hey, remember these numbers, 8, 6, 4, 2, 9, 3, 6, 2, 5, 8, 1, and then said repeat that back, you're probably not going to be able to do it. Trying to remember stuff just by numbers like that is really hard. It's a lot easier, again, if you can see the shape. Right? So here's D, so I'm C, D, and then the F, and then back to the D. And I know I'm saying the names, but hopefully you kind of see that out of box 3. Because if I see box 3, I just have to remember that I'm working around this D root, and I just know it's the previous note and the next note in the box. Okay, now we're gonna liven it up just a little bit. I'll say that's kind of the basic version of this riff. So in A, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. And that's the way he usually does it until E and a 4 E. He does that little slide into that's a little A7 chord. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm barring at the 5th fret, the 2nd through the 4th string, and I've got my middle finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. And I'm sliding up from 1 fret below. 3 E and a 4 E and so that's on 4 E, beat 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. And that happens on the 4th one, right before you go to the D. And then he does a little D9 slide. Okay, so very similar. First finger at the 4th fret of the 4th string, barring across the top 3 on the 5th string, slide to it from 1 fret below. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a. Back to A. And then a D9, D sharp 9. And then instead of going straight to the E, he hits the low E. And then the E7 sharp 9. Okay, so if I put that together in time, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a, then up to the F9, back to the E7 sharp 9. So you're going to hear that note stay on top. And then back. And end it on that E7 sharp 9. So the whole thing, 1, 2, 3, 4. And admittedly, I might have embellished slightly. It's one of those things where you hear 2 or 3 different recordings of it, like there's a live one and then there's a studio one. It's slightly different. You know, you don't have to, like I know one time, he'll do like a higher one, a higher A up there. You could do a 9th chord up high. Like there's a lot of different things you could do right there. The simplest, most straightforward is just that little A7, but feel free to embellish as you see fit, okay? It's a really, really cool riff. And like I say, there's a lot of riffs right? Same idea. It's an A, G, H, C, D, slides up into box. Right, and I didn't necessarily mean to get off on another tangent. That one just popped into my head right now. There's tons and tons and tons of riffs, though, that come from that, looking at that A minor pentatonic scale just a little bit differently. And starting with your third finger instead of your first. Also, that low E is a great thing to have. You know, all of those, the lower 6th, 5th, and 4th string open are an E, an A, and a D. Those are all in your pentatonic scale. Those are all in the A minor pentatonic sound, so you can use them in A, right? If you change keys, it's not going to be that way, but it's a really cool little bonus for the key of A. It's probably one of the reasons lots of great riffs are in A. So hopefully you'll get a chance to play with that a little bit. It's just a really, really cool riff, and I thought you'd have some fun with it. And like I said, I think it shows a way of looking at the fretboard that's maybe slightly different than the way you've looked at it in the past. So hopefully you're not just gonna, learn where to put your fingers and move on. I hope you'll sort of play around with that box 5 and box 3 and just look at your fretboard a little bit differently and really get something out of the riff and out of the lesson, okay? So as always, if you have guitar playing friends that you think would dig this lesson, I hope you'll share it with them. I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed, and I look forward to talking to you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.